Greetings. Now let's review some fraction operation problems. Jacob is making a recipe for pancakes, and that recipe calls for half a cup of milk and 1/5 cup of oil. How much liquid is involved in this entire recipe? So I know I have 1/2 and 1/5, and since they want to know how much total liquid is needed for this recipe, I'm going to have to add those two fractions. Once again, don't forget, you want to find a common multiple, and the least common multiple that 2 and 5 share is 10. So remember, these are equivalent fractions. So if I multiply 5 times 2, that gives me 10. Well, 2 times 1 would give me the numerator of 2. 1/5 is equal to 2/10. 2 times 5, right, equals 10. So 5 times 1 is equal to 5. So 5/10 is equivalent to 1/2. I just rewrote this to ensure that I was going to get a common denominator of 10. And when I add 5 plus 2, I get 7/10. I could have also converted each fraction to decimal form, 0.50 and 0.20, right? And that would have also given me 7/10. Okay, so you have options when you have friendly fractions. Let's go ahead and look at the following problem. Charlie has 3/4 foot of wire. He's using 1/3 of that foot to repair the cord of his phone charger. Well, how much wire does he still have? Once again, if I'm adding or subtracting, what's important here is that you're going to have to find a common denominator. So I'm going to subtract 3/4 minus 1/3, and I know that 4 and 3 share the common multiple of 12, the least common multiple of 12. So 3 times what gives me 12? Well, I know that would be 4. 4 times 3 gives me 12, and 3 times 3 is 9. So what I have done is I have gotten a common denominator and written the equivalent fractions for that. Now, all I have to do is subtract the numerators. 9 minus 4 is equal to 5 over 12. So how much wire does he still have left? Well, he still has 5/12, right, inches, right, left. All right, so let's go ahead now and let's look at still fraction operation problems, but now doing a little bit of multiplication. So football season has started, and there is a total of 80 energized football players that showed up to practice. However, of those players who showed up, 1/8 of them forgot their cleats. Well, you know Coach Vasquez is not going to be very happy. 2/5 of the football players did not bring their physical form. So the remaining players are going to be prepared and ready to play. So somebody's going to be running today, all right? So what operations will I actually need to do? Well, I'm going to have to multiply. Let's first get our total. I know there's 80 energized football players. However, a certain portion of them actually forgot their cleats. So I'm going to have to figure out, I know that 1/8 of means to multiply. 80 over 1, that's the way I can write 80. I'm going to have to multiply these two in order to figure out what number of players forgot their cleats. And in essence, I'm really dividing. So that gives me 10 players. How many of them forgot their physical forms? Well, let's go figure that out. We do know that 2/5 of them, so 2/5 of 80 actually forgot their physical forms. So that's 160 divided by 5. And when you divide that out, that equals 32. So these set of players are not ready to practice. That's the bottom line. So what's a number of players that are ready to practice? Well, I'm going to have to add and I'm going to have to subtract here, right? Because I need to figure out who's not ready. So I know 32 are not ready because they don't have their forms. 10 of them did not bring their cleats. So 42 players are not ready to practice. Very energized, but not ready. All right, what was my total number? Well, my total number of players was 80. So 80 minus the 42 is what is actually ready to practice. I'm going to have to regroup there, and that's going to give me 38 players are actually ready to practice football. So sometimes we have to do several steps in order to get to our final answer. So what I just modeled was multiplying of fractions, right, and finding a part of a whole. And that's one way that you can do it. All right, have a wonderful review.